thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Irado, and with me, as always, is a guy who never uses AI for anything at all, ever, Mike Vandebogart.
Oh, thank you, Joe, and thank you to all of our amazing listeners for tuning in. My voice is back. Can we get a little round of applause?
Oh, let's see. I'm finding it. Nope.
There we go. Oh, so it feels good to be back. So that was a rough stretch there.
I actually didn't remember what you sounded like.
Oh, well, go back and listen to the last two episodes.
I mean your normal voice.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't heard you talk normal in a while.
I spent so much time editing those two episodes, editing out all the coughs and
just the throat clearing.
Everyone listening, you can thank me. Because it was rough to listen to.
I didn't even want to be friends with you anymore.
Yeah, it was brutal. Sad news today. Did you see who died?
No.
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill?
Yeah, the Jurassic Park guy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he passed away after...
Now I'm really sad.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I was just going to say we should just take a moment of silence to remember one of the... actors from a pinnacle movie of my childhood, Jurassic Park.
Like the pinnacle movie.
I know he was in a lot of other stuff, including a really awesome horror movie, Event Horizon, that took place in space.
That is one of the greatest movies ever made. As far as a thriller,
yes.
It's an absolutely terrifying...
It's a banger.
Absolutely.
As the young kids say.
I'm going to watch that tonight in honor, actually.
Yeah.
Like Event Horizon, not Jurassic Park, Event Horizon. July 28th, 2011. Experienced Australian hiker begins a 10-day solo trek across Utah's remote Uinta Highline Trail. Along the way, he encounters dangerous snowfields, leaves the established route more than once, and is last seen by a Boy Scout group deep in the backcountry. Days later, he fails to appear at the western trailhead. Search teams on foot, horseback, and by helicopter scour vast stretches of rugged alpine terrain, but find no clear trace of where he went. Join us this week as we investigate the disappearance of Eric Robinson. I'm doing too much stuff. I'm trying to find buttons and do things. Right when I told you I had it all figured out, we threw in all this extra theme music and stuff. So I figure I'm doing pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Given all that. So the name of the location is the Uinta Highline Trail in the Uintas Wilderness and Uinta Mountains in Utah. That's a lot of Uinta, Utah. We don't have much information about the area. We'll go right into the climate. The area where Eric went missing is a high elevation continental mountain climate, which is short, cool summers, long, very snowy winters, and frequent fast-moving storms even in midsummer. Eric's hike and disappearance was late July to early August, fell in the core high country season, which generally runs from late June to mid-September in the Uintas. At elevation above about 10,000 feet, this is the Anderson Pass, Dead Horse Pass, and Alsop Saddle. Daytime summer highs are commonly in 60s to 70s Fahrenheit, seldom exceeding about 80. So it's like great hiking weather.
Yeah.
Nighttime lows in the summer typically drop into the 30s, with freezing temperatures possible even in July and August. In a typical year, trails at lower elevation become usable by mid-June, but the high country, passes and basins where Eric was, often doesn't melt out enough to hike until July. So something about the snow and precipitation. The Uintas receive about 40 inches of precipitation per year, with most of that falling as snow. Winter snow accumulates deeply and often persists in the summer on shaded slopes and high passes. Snow can still occur at high elevations even in July. Observers had documented 6 inches of new snow on July 22nd near Mirror Lake, about 10,050 feet, illustrating how a passing summer storm can briefly turn conditions wintry. In years with heavy snowfall and cool springs, like the 2010-2011 season described in the investigative work, campgrounds along Mirror Lake Highway sometimes don't fully open until late June and early July. Storms, wind, and rapid weather changes. So summer in the Uintas is characterized by regular afternoon thunderstorms and quick weather shifts. Did we ever have the Uintas? Is that another place? Or has it always been Uintas?
I think we may have done an episode years ago in this area and we just said it wrong the whole time. So
I'm like, there's something close to this one. I think the United. I think we just said it wrong.
The phonetic spelling in this one because I knew my urge was to say Unitas.
See, you know what's funny? I don't recall ever being corrected.
I'm sure we were.
I'm sure we were just missed it.
Yes.
We'll actually cover that in the Patreon episode when we read the comments.
We're going to read your comments and give our thoughts.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So moist air masses can produce short-lived but intense thunderstorm cells, bringing heavy rain, hail, lightning, and sometimes snow at the highest elevations. Forecast data for the eastern Uintas Mountains show that even on generally sunny days, afternoon chances of showers and thunderstorms are common. With gusty winds accompanying frontal passages, winds at high elevations are typically in the 10 to 15 mile an hour range, but gusts can reach 20 to 25 miles per hour or more in storms. So snowpack and timing during the 2011 conditions. When heavy winter snow is followed by cool spring, high country snowdrifts persist longer, meaning passes like Anderson Pass and Dead Horse can remain partly snowbound well until July and early August. In 2011, that meant portions of the Highline Trail near Anderson, Dead Horse, and Rocky Sea passes were still covered by high-angle snowdrifts when Eric traveled through. A little more about the terrain. Eric disappeared in a very specific kind of high mountain terrain. Steep alpine passes, loose talus, cliff bands, and a remote basin where there is no maintained trail on the side he tried to descend. The key areas are Anderson Pass, Yellowstone Basin, Dead Horse Lake Pass, and the unnamed saddle above Alsop Lake. That's what we refer to as the Alsop Saddle. The Uinta Mountains are an east-west oriented range with many miles of subalpine and alpine terrain above the tree line. The Highline Trail runs along the southern crest, crossing multiple passes above 11 and 12,000 feet. This environment combines very short summer season with lingering snowfields on north-facing slopes, frequent lightning and fast-changing mountain weather, broad open basins where trails are faint and easily obscured by livestock or snow, long distances between trailheads making rescue difficult. So a little bit about the Anderson Pass. It's the highest point in the Highline and sits near Kings Peak on a rocky headwall where the official trail traverses steep slopes below cliffs. The pass itself is almost entirely rock, no smooth dirt path. In 2011, steep, high-angled snow-covered parts of the traverse created a situation where slipping could send a hiker down into cliff bands and loose talus. Experienced mountaineers who crossed about a week after Eric reported high-angle snow and chose to go above it on a knife-edge ridge rather than traverse across it, emphasizing how risky it was. It's a little foreshadowing.
Yes.
Eric, lacking technical snow gear, bailed below the snowfield, scrambling down through those cliff bands and loose rock. Once below the pass, he entered Yellowstone Basin, a broad drainage. So he didn't try going through it, which is a smart move.
Yeah.
The trail runs perpendicular to the Highline Trail, leading down canyon instead of along the crest. Livestock and grazing use have created multiple faint paths and signboards that can be hard to read or follow. Yellowstone Creek and Junction sign indicate you're leaving the Highline corridor, but a hiker must be paying close attention to interpret them. The Dead Horse Lake and Dead Horse Pass. So Dead Horse Lake is an alpine basin in the West Fork Black's Fork drainage. The lake sits in a rocky bowl beneath Dead Horse Pass, which is widely regarded as the most difficult pass on the entire Highline. The pass is a steep, north-facing slope with loose talus and narrow trail. In heavy snow years, snowdrifts can cover the trail well into August.
I'm getting it's really snowy here.
Snowy and rocky and,
Yes.
and just slippery. Like
Yes.
the talus rocks are slippery enough when you're just on them. let alone when they're wet or snowy.
Yes.
The trail switchbacks up a talus slope, then crosses a high-angle snow slope above cliffs, a location where a slip could send a hiker over exposed drop-offs. The unnamed saddle above Alsop Lake. Instead of climbing Dead Horse Pass, Eric turned west towards an unnamed saddle between Dead Horse Lake Basin and Alsop Lake Basin in the East Fork Bear River. So for anyone who doesn't know what a saddle is, it's, if you can imagine like a saddle on a horse, it kind of dips down where you sit on it. Mm-hmm. Pretend there's two mountains, and in between those two mountains is the quote-unquote saddle.
It's like a little baby valley.
Exactly. It doesn't go all the way down, but it like connects two ridges, two peaks, whatever it would be.
Yeah, and it's easier to...
You take the saddle and don't go all the way down and go back up.
Yes.
Usually. A faint, unofficial trail climbs from the vicinity of Dead Horse Lake up to the saddle. This path is not a maintained Highline route. It exists mainly as a social trail used by few adventurous parties. From the saddle, a hiker can see Alsop Lake below, giving the impression of a potential shortcut to the East Fork Trail system. On the Alsop side, which is the west side, the terrain drops away from the saddle in two stacked cliff bands down into a steep boulder field. Investigators describe two sets of cliffs, an upper band roughly 40 or 50 feet tall, and a lower band another 60 or 70 feet with a combined slope averaging about a 52% grade. Below the cliffs, the slope is a field of broken rock, large boulders, coarse talus where movement is unstable and footing is poor. There is no maintained trail descending the Alsop side. Only risky options exist, a steep gully or traversing above cliffs to reach scree slope. That's the one thing I've run into a couple times when you look down at lakes from like mountains.
Yeah.
A lot of times it looks like it's just like a hill. And then when you actually look at like terrain maps, there can be like huge drop-offs, but you can't see them.
Yeah.
So you can end up getting in really bad spots by thinking like, oh, I can just go down that way.
Yeah.
And then you all of a sudden can't get back up.
Yeah, it's advisable to really stay on trail as best as possible.
Yeah. So overall hazards in the area, if you haven't already figured that one out, elevation and exposure are huge. High exposed alpine terrain with steep slopes and cliff bands where small navigation footing errors quickly become life-threatening. The no maintained descent routes. So from Alsop Saddle, there's no official trail down to Alsop Lake, only steep gullies or traverses above cliffs on loose rock. Routes that demand strong route finding, judgment, and comfort with risk. Rockfall and snow effects. Over 5 years, rocks break off cliffs and roll down slope. Snow and avalanches can move bones and gear, scattering remains and adding to the difficulty of interpreting the exact fall line. Isolation. Alsop Lake is lightly visited compared to other Uintas basins. Weather and visibility. Alpine weather, cloud buildup, storms, low visibility compounds the risk of trying to pick a decent descent line in unstable talus and cliff terrain. So, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about Eric Robinson?
Sure. And before we get going, I will just note to all of those listening, you may from time to time hear some weird sounds in the background. So our new studio is on a third floor overlooking a very busy intersection. And being Milwaukee, there's lots of motorcycles out right now.
And just weird sounds.
And they love blaring the music. So I was listening to one of our older episodes and I heard like ambulance sirens. There's also a huge hospital right near us. So you might hear some sounds, but that's just the the excitement going on outside the studio.
Yeah, everyone's excited that it's warm out.
Yeah.
It doesn't do this.
And so they decide to ride their Harleys around.
Oh, yeah. That's the South Park episode?
Oh, yeah.
That's like the best.
Some of you may know what we're talking about.
Yes.
So, all right, back to the episode.
Yes.
All right, the name of the character in this case is Eric Robinson. Date of birth, March 19th, 1947. He went missing, so he's reported overdue on August 7th of 2011 after failing to arrive at the Highline Trailhead at the end of a planned 10-day hike in the area. He was male, age 63. Body description, he was described by his wife and search officials as about 5'7" to 5'8". He had a slender build. Fit build. He's bald-headed with some gray hair around the sides of his head, kind of a George Costanza look. He was an avid, capable hiker who had thoroughly walked nearly every trail in his homeland of Australia and in multiple overseas mountainous regions. He had blue eyes. He was characterized as very social, friendly, and outgoing with a delightful Australian and Scottish accent. And he was known to strike up conversations with, anyone he came across in the woods. So he sounds like a pretty cool guy to come across if you're hiking. And Australian Scottish accent,
That's got to be awesome.
that's got to be a very interesting mix of very interesting dialects, to say the least.
Absolutely.
So clothing and gear he was last seen in. So during the 2011 search, his wife and officials described him as typically wearing a fleece shirt and shorts while hiking, equipped, and he'd be equipped for any type of weather he might encounter. He was believed to be carrying a red backpack full of supplies, an emergency locator beacon, and a bear-resistant food canister on which he had placed an Australian flag sticker, so people would know it if they found it. Personality, like I said before, he was very keen on hiking and absolutely passionate about the mountains. He had a long history of exploring the wild trails in Australia, New Zealand, Scotland, and parts of California and Utah. And he was seen as meticulous and very safety-oriented, adding like I said, he added the flag sticker to his canister. He carried an emergency beacon, which not a lot of people we cover on these cases have that. But he also embraced the solitude of long solo treks. Friends and family noted, very social, friendly, and liked to talk with other hikers, but also, liked the fact that he was going out on his own for a stretch of time, especially in a place like this, that after the location profile sounds one of the more remote places you could probably go in the lower 48.
Yeah.
I say that about other places, but I mean, this is in the top 5, I would say.
I'm sharing the screen right now.
Yes.
And when I zoom out here, this is Allsop Lake. I mean, it's far away from any type of major road.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of kind of nowhere.
And the closest city is Salt Lake, Provo.
Yep, Salt Lake City to the west.
So not that far from Salt Lake, but once you get away from the city, you're just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not like you got little towns. Like from the dot of Salt Lake City as a crow flies.
Yeah.
70 miles, 60 miles.
And yeah, just based on your description,
like 50 miles. I was a little farther. But that's Allsop Lake, so he had to get there. So he was hiking all in this. And this is pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Try.
That's really cool.
It is cool.
You could go along this entire line. I'm sure this is the Highline Trail along this entire thing.
Yeah.
So here's the saddle that they're talking about for those looking. See how it looks like a nice little horse saddle?
Yeah.
And he said you could see Allsop Lake from there. I'll see if we got any images from any people. Oh, there's a couple over here. Not exactly where they are.
Yeah.
We'll see what they look like. Courtesy of Brendan Nicholson, September
Thank you, Brendan.
2017. Yeah, look how snowy it is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is. It could be end of September, early September. Don't know. But
Either way,
it looks cold.
it gives me that feeling I had kind of like you're on Mars when we were hiking in Hawaii.
This is one of
There
those
are some
wild ones
trees.
too. Like if you're anywhere in this,
Yeah.
there's no cover.
No.
You're not getting lost in the woods for sure. I mean, even if you're down there, it's pretty sparse.
Your best cover is if you go back over looking towards the lake, you've got some trees you could try to hunker down in.
Yeah, but I'm guessing these are those cliffs. Look at this is where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you could just do quick down there, and that's
Nope.
where you get. That's exactly where you get like, oh, it looks like you could go down this way.
Yeah.
and
But in reality, that's like 800 feet down.
yeah, it looks like oh, I'll just get my sled out. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
wild.
That's why I really hope people get out and hike at, hike locations we've talked about, because we show a lot of pictures.
Yeah, that was Dead Horse Pass. They talked about that. That's
Yeah.
where we just took that picture from. See, look at when you look up. That's
Yeah.
that cliff edge right there.
Yeah.
It looked like it went straight down. Nope, you're gonna fall off that one and
Yep.
not make it.
Yeah, because pictures are really deceiving.
They're
They
so
do not
deceiving.
show the true verticality.
Yes,
Of
this
the
looks like
area.
you could walk up it. I guarantee you'd be climbing on your hands and your
No,
like
and that would be like
crawling.
the escalator joke. You would just be moving and not going anywhere. Because as you're going up, you're pulling rock down and the talus and the screen, all that. Yeah,
It is beautiful. Though.
it looks really cool.
okay. Awesome. I got to get out more. It's saying, yeah, this is 11,000 feet from this shot.
Yeah.
from John Lisenby. Thank you, John,
Thank you,
for this
John.
beautiful shot. Cool. All right, you can keep going. I'll keep pulling up pictures
All right.
and stuff.
So medical issues, nothing major was identified during the search. So throughout the entire search, he was portrayed as healthy, active, and fit for his age. No mention of chronic illnesses, mobility limitations, or any acute medical problems that might have contributed directly to his disappearance. Just the basic risks that someone his age could have in that high altitude environment. Occupation and hobby, Robinson lived near Melbourne and was retired at the time of his 2011 trek. He had previously worked as a mechanical engineer and took part in off-roading and bushwalking with colleagues. Hiking and trekking were his dominant hobbies, and he structured major portions of his life and travel around multi-week backpacking trips. And that sounds like an amazing retirement.
Yeah.
I hope someday to be able to do that myself if we ever get to retire. So, experience in the wilderness. He obviously had extensive experience, having thoroughly hiked nearly every trail in his homeland and also routes in, like I said, New Zealand, Scotland, the high Sierras of California, and other mountainous environments. Over the decades, he learned to plan carefully, carry adequate food and gear, and manage himself in remote areas, which was why this disappearance was seen as especially perplexing and concerning, just because of his experience level, how much hiking he had done, the gear that he had. So very interesting experience at this location. So Robinson had prior experience hiking in parts of Utah, including segments of this Uinta region. But 2011 was his first documented attempt at a full solo traverse of the Highline Trail. And, he researched the Highline in advance and chose it as a major objective for his North American trip. But the specific combination of unusually heavy, lingering snow, complex, terrain that he had to go through, and the kind of fragmentation of the area with, jurisdictional fragmentation made this route much more challenging than many that he had previously done. So really a tough hike by any stretch. I'm just looking something up quick.
Yeah, I was trying to find if there's any reports from 2011's a little too far back for all trails.
Yeah. So, let's see, where was I?
Well, if anyone's still watching the screen, you can see this is an example of some of the markers.
Yeah.
And this is a good cairn. These, if you see these on mountains when there's no markers, like a big pile of rocks, add one. It's a nice little habit to throw one on there.
But don't break them down.
Yeah, don't break these ones down, because these are sometimes what's going to save people who are going on mountainous trails, because it's the only marker. If this is snowy, you don't see this little footpath here.
I've read stories of people that don't know what those are, that are maybe a little green to hiking, and they kick them over. Or
they think they're helping.
Yeah, leave those there. They help mark the trails and tell you where you're going.
Yeah.
But also, you gotta really keep, when you're on a trail that has just those. We've been hiking in the past on trails like that, where sometimes a stack of rocks looks like a cairn, and it's not. It's just a natural pile of rocks.
Yeah.
So you really got to be careful that you're following the correct trail, and that's why you always want to really study the maps of the area and kind of get good at reading topographic maps a little bit, because that can really help you if you're in a mountainous region to what's your surrounding look like, and then look at your map and carry a GPS and load the map into that. Can also,
that will be the biggest thing.
That's the cheat code. But you don't want to have just that. You need to be able to rely on kind of more of the old school methods of wayfinding.
Your GPS can break or not work.
Our first hiking trip in Canyonlands, I dropped my GPS on the trail in the sand, thought I lost it, and then on the hike out, I found it again. So,
are you serious?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was yellow, so it blended in with like the reddish orange sand.
That's really lucky.
It still works.
Is that how you got out?
No, I actually didn't even use it.
Awesome.
It didn't. We didn't get, the signal didn't work great down in the canyons.
Oh,
so it was kind of useless. Like in the canyons, on a high alpine environment, much more useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we get right in the timeline here? So, he planned to fly from Melbourne to the U.S. in late July. His main objective in Utah was a solo trek of the Uinta Highline Trail, starting from the Chepeda Lake area and finishing at the Highline Trailhead off Mirror Lake Highway. He intended to hike approximately 60 miles in 10 days, pretty aggressive for this kind of terrain. So that's, for someone who's fit and has done this a lot, not maybe as, I think that's kind of aggressive.
What was his route from?
He wanted to do 60 miles in 10 days.
Okay, yeah, the whole trail is 103 miles, so that's more than half of it.
Yeah, and it sounds like
he went from where to where?
Chepeda, Chepeta Lake to the Highline Trailhead.
Okay. I was going to see if they have.
I'm assuming that is one of the.
Yeah, it's one of these stops.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to do the whole thing. It's not this whole thing in the preview, but
it sounds like the stretch he picked is probably one of the harder stretches. Sounds like it. Why don't we take a pause here and we'll describe kind of. So we've got all trails up and doing the cool thing where it kind of maps the trail as you're going and tells you the elevation gain. So we're mile in, 500 feet.
This is now doing the whole 103.
Okay.
So I'm going to, hopefully I can see Chepeda Lake somewhere.
Yeah.
Because he might have done this in reverse too.
So we're 3 miles in, you're going up 1,100 feet at this point. At some point, that's East Park Reservoir we're passing.
That looks beautiful.
No, it does.
I would totally do this hike. Just probably not 60 miles of it in 4 days?
10.
In 10 days? Okay, that's not too bad.
But I mean,
it's still tough. We did 40 miles in 5 days in Montana, right? Yeah. Oh no, we did a little shorter because we didn't have our passports.
Yeah.
It was 40 miles. We ended up doing like 30.
But we went like the wrong way up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was not at all technical like this.
That was not technical.
That is.
They had a path the whole way.
A lot of elevation gain.
But it was a path. The idea was it was still very difficult in the amount of time. So this is significantly more work.
Yeah.
In a roughly the same amount of time at 3 times the distance.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Everything in Glacier is very well marked. Not necessarily signage, but you're on the path because a lot of people hike that part.
Yes, it's very popular.
Yes. This sounds like, especially in some of the areas he got down into, there's a lot of false trails from cattle and, all kinds of stuff going on.
Well, and he couldn't use the trail.
Yes.
Like there's too much snow. So he had to make his own path. And I think that's probably.
Now, I would argue that in that situation, you probably should turn around and just call off the hike. Or I don't know if this kind of stuff was available back in 2011, but I mean, you could check trail reports and see if it's open.
I mean, I'm sure in the area they had ranger stations and things and people you can go ask and just say, hey, I'm going to do the
park.
I'm going to do the Highline Trail. What should I avoid? We always talk to the rangers when we're doing a long hike and say, like, hey, this is what we're doing. What should we know?
I'm just saying, like, if a good chunk of the Highline, is closed off due to snow, I probably personally would turn around and just redone it later.
Yeah, just come back.
I've not going off trail down into some canyon and trying to pass it, unless I'm like very proficient in winter, technical hiking.
I've done that twice in Colorado. It's annoying.
Yeah.
When I wanted to do the Knife's Edge in Colorado 2 times. One time there was an avalanche and just completely buried the trail in snow. I was like, well, this is where we stop.
Yeah. I mean, you could attempt to get through, but you'd probably kill yourself.
I had the gear and the skill. I was with 2 people who didn't, so there's no way. And we ran into a dude who was also stopped at the avalanche, and he saw me. He's like, hey, do you want to do it with me? I'm like, well, I can't leave these guys, and I don't know you. So, no. I don't know if you're proficient, so no, I don't want to do that.
That sounds like you're going to end up on our show.
Yeah, exactly. He left the group and went with a stranger into the snowpack.
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. So, but it's annoying, but guess what? Look at me. I'm still here.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing to think if anyone's ever hiking, it's not, if something's impassable and it's on your route, and you don't feel comfortable, going forward, nothing is worth trying to just get through your trip. We've called off trips because of weather. Like, it sucks, especially when you plan for a whole year, take 2 weeks off and fly somewhere, and then you can't finish your hike.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that really sucks.
Not summiting a mountain after driving
but I'm not
15
dead.
hours. Yeah.
So
I've not summited mountains so many times, and I hate it, but
that's part of it.
I go sulk a little bit and get like some Chinese food in Denver, and like be like, this is kind of nice.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll let this run in the background. I'll continue with the timeline. So, like I said, he intended to hike approximately 60 miles in 10 days and had arranged for a friend in Utah to meet him at the western terminus on August 7th of 2011. He initially expected to finish on August 6th, but August 7th was added because Julia, which was his friend, was unable to pick him up on the 6th. And so the specific time to meet him was noon on the 7th. And this also helps to explain why there was no alarm raised, earlier. And after the hike, he was scheduled to fly on to Vancouver in British Columbia for another leg of his extended hiking trip. So, it's July 28th, 2011. This would be kind of his known departure and intended itinerary. So Eric set out on July 28th of 2011 from Chepeda Lake trailhead northwest of Vernal. He began his solo hike on the Highline Trail, and he intended to cover about 60 miles over 10 days, like I said. And like I said, he was expected to return August 7th. Friends and family knew that after leaving the lake, he would be out of cell phone range and would not be in regular contact until he finished. So obviously the lack of messages during the 10-day window did not really stand out as unusual. It's now July 30th of 2011. A significant piece of information emerged during the August search that another hiker had encountered Eric at Fox Lake on July 30th. And a witness reported seeing Eric near Fox Lake and described him as in good health and good spirits. And this encounter would have been about 2 days into his trek. So we know 2 days in, he's good health, happy, enjoying life. And when the witness came forward during the search, Fox Lake then became kind of the last known sighting used by searchers. And we'll get into more details on that in a few minutes.
So here is Fox Lake. We actually just passed it.
Okay. So how many miles in was that?
It was, oh geez. I think it was 40 something
But we don't know where he started. We didn't see the lake that he started on.
Chepeda. I'm going to go back and see if I can pinpoint it. I mean, I was talking to you for a little bit.
Ooh, what's that lake?
It's Taylor
Lake. Okay.
Yeah, I saw a T and I got excited. So it could have been from the other way, and he was going this way. Because if this is the trailhead,
oh, there it is.
Where? Oh, you found it
right there.
Chepeda Lake trailhead. Hey, okay.
All
so
right,
he started
that's
here.
where he started.
Okay.
All right. So 2 days in, he made it to Fox Lake. Where are we now?
I think it's trying to go back to. It's trying to start over.
Okay. So that's good. We know the start point, and we know he was seen alive at Fox Lake. So it's now August 7th, 2011, the date he was supposed to be picked up, and he does not appear at the Mirror Lake trailhead. Eric's friend in Utah knew he planned to complete his Highline hike and emerge at this area on August 7th. She arrived at the trailhead around midday to pick him up. He wasn't there. So she and her partner walked a little way, they did a little walking around, hiked a bit of the trail, then left, and then came back and returned later in the day. He was still not there. It's totally not uncommon for hikers to be held up, like they slept in or...
This is a good question for you.
Yes.
What do you think is a reasonable window on a multi-day, very hard, long-distance hike without coverage so you don't know what's going on? I can see you just calculating all the variables.
Yes.
Like a fair window
if
before
I
you start worrying.
Said... Yeah, because, in searchers and law enforcement do this calculation too. Because you don't want to just be spinning up searches every day for hikers that are just overdue.
Oh, they're 2 hours late. They'll probably be like, all right, just chill out. What would you guess?
I would say you have to factor in a few things. You factor in his experience level, fitness level, and then time of day you were supposed to meet him, so noon, I would say if he's not there by night, I'm telling authorities.
So like 6 hours?
Yeah.
Like, so you have after 6 hours, you're going to start at least notifying people.
I think for someone in his experience level.
Okay.
And and you know what? It probably doesn't hurt to just tell them right away. Like, law enforcement will determine when is the proper time to start a search.
Yeah, I would say, like, to a listener, if someone's late, you could say, here's tell them who they are, how good they are, when they were due. And you could even say, hey, I'm not worried yet, but I just want you to be aware that he's not here yet.
He's overdue.
I'm going to be coming back to check on it, but I just want somebody to know.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it.
Right away, just so you're not raising the alarms, but you're telling somebody that if they say, hey.
So let's rephrase that. Worried level.
Well, no, I would say, like, besides, like, just in your head, what would you think is safe? And then I'll tell you mine. Okay, so personally, not factoring in what law enforcement do, I would say if someone's overdue, let them know. They'll start the search when they deem it appropriate. I think personally... That's the official advice from Locations Unknown. If someone tells you they're going to be out at a certain date and time and they're not there, and I would say give an hour before calling law enforcement. But like if I was going to pick you up in some remote place and it was noon and you weren't there and like an hour or two went by, I'd probably call the police and be like, hey, my buddy told me he was going to be here at noon. He's not. Just a heads up. He might still be hiking in. They do this all the time. Yeah, they'll figure out what they want to do. But personally, if you were late and now it's dark and you still haven't shown up, now you're breaking out the champagne and celebrating because you're like, I got the best episode ever. Yeah, right? Now I'm getting a little worried. Like, okay, Joe's experience, he said he was going to be here. He's about to do another night that he didn't plan for. Now something might be wrong. Okay. And if you're not there by morning or like noon the next day, now I'm full blown like something's wrong. So you know what's weird for me? I think the more experience you have, the bigger the window I would give you. And that sounds counterintuitive. Yeah. And why? I'll give you my thought behind this. This could be wrong. This is just my initial hunch. Some expert could be like, that's the dumbest thing ever. And I'd fine, tell me if that's the case. But I would think, like, if I know the guy's very experienced, I would say 12 to 24 hours. Okay. And the reason is because I'd be like, oh, if they ran into something, I would alert people right away, like you said. Yeah. But I wouldn't be worried until about 2 days passed. Okay. Because I'd be like, okay, if they did run into something, they got hurt, they'd probably be able to like figure it out. And maybe they're hunkered down and then rescues. I wouldn't be worried. I guess per se. Another variable you got to factor in too is location and weather. Mm-hmm. Well, location's unknown. Yeah. So if this was like Yellowstone, I'm less worried. Yeah, there's trails everywhere. If it's like Denali and you were just out in the backcountry for 2 weeks. You're in the Alaskan Triangle. Yeah, very worried. Yeah, 3 hours. 2 days, I'd be like, very polar bear's got you. If it was sunny and blue sky like this your entire time on your hike, less worried. Yeah. If like a huge snowstorm blew through, much more worried. Yep. So yeah, there's so many variables. Like, I think each one is unique, but I think the good advice would be if they're overdue, alert the authorities. They're not just going to spin up a search like, an hour after someone's been missing, but maybe so we'll go into when they actually, so he definitely was on the hardest segment. He was on the hardest stretch. 100% was on the hardest stretch. So, like I said, she arrived. He wasn't there. They walked around, didn't find him. They came back later in the day. He'd still not arrived. And in the same light, that day, relatives in Australia did not yet know anything was wrong. They expected Eric to finish, travel to Vancouver, and reestablish contact around that time. But, the concrete information they had was that his trip end date was August 7th. So by the evening of August 7th, his friend contacted authorities to say that Eric was overdue, which started the formal search planning. So they kind of followed my theory of like, give it till dark. And if he doesn't show up, all right, call authorities. I think they did the right thing. So by August 8th, the local sheriff's office launched a search operation for what they said a missing Australian hiker overdue on the Highline Trail. Last question. This one isn't going to take a while. Do you think that the more days that are planned, the bigger the window gets? That's a good question. because
You would say like a day hike.
the
they're not
window is
back,
very short.
I'm
small.
concerned.
Exactly, like within a couple hours. But if
Yeah.
they've been gone 2 weeks and they knew what they were doing,
Yeah.
like
That's interesting. So obviously in this case, the authorities basically started a search the next day. So they were concerned.
okay, so they didn't do it immediately.
August 8th. They started planning on the 7th.
Okay,
So they even
but
started.
they didn't like hop in their like horses and start.
From what
like,
I
throwing up
don't
the
know
alarm?
exactly the time of day they started the search,
Okay.
but I'm assuming when it was light out. So
Yeah.
sometime in the morning on August 8th, the search and rescue mission started.
Okay.
So they were
Well, that tells me
concerned
something.
enough.
They were concerned, but not concerned enough to immediately drop everything and go.
and I mean,
If they told them at night and they didn't do it till morning,
it's hard to like drum up a massive search in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
It's
fair.
dark. I mean, I guess
we've
you
seen
could-
ones for kids though, where it's like,
Yeah.
and granted, children I think elicit that type of response usually because they typically don't know what they're doing. So okay,
So yeah, based on how quickly the search started, I think authorities thought something was wrong in this case. But that's an interesting point. Like these are all variables. It'd be fun to see like a study done on all of these different variables of how long the planned trip was to how overdue they were to when the actual search started.
I'm gonna try and do some research while you're talking.
And I would bet that it's probably different by jurisdiction. I bet it's not
I'm sure
all the same.
it's all over. I bet that there's probably not.
And it's probably based on past history. Probably in areas where they've had a lot of massive searches for people and they've never found them. Probably when someone goes missing, they kick off the search right away.
Yeah.
But in other areas like highly trafficked national parks where people are overdue all the time and then walk out, they're probably like a little.
They also probably get reports of missing people, and then they like, oh, they just came. Like, so
Yeah.
it's like a little bit more. Yeah, I'm
don't
with
know.
you. I'm with you on that.
Joe and I could all be just
This is all
flapping our
speculating.
gums.
We're speculating, so
Yeah.
we don't. This is not based on anything other than just thinking about it. So
I
take
will
it with a grain
generally
of salt.
say with the cases that we've covered, the searches pretty quickly start after they're reported missing.
Fair enough.
So I think it's safe to say that within 24 hours, a search usually is started.
All right, I'm gonna do some searching, and I'll let you know what
Okay.
I come up with.
So, like I said, August 8th, the search started. Eric's wife, Marilyn, told reporters at the time there had been no confirmed sightings of him since July 30th. He had not used his mobile phone. His emergency beacon had not been activated, and neither his tent nor backpack had been located. So that's an interesting piece of information that he had an emergency beacon with him and it was not activated. So that's another variable for your question. Mm-hmm. So if somebody is extremely lost and injured, you would think they would just spool up their emergency beacon and just get it over with. So that just keep that in the back of your head for this case. So he had a beacon with him and he didn't use it. She described the situation as surreal and said, clearly we are very worried at this point. Initially, searchers had a broad intended route and slowly updated this as evidence came in. So to start the search, they didn't know a real fixed location. They kind of had a broad area of where he'd be hiking. Mm-hmm. August 10th to 12th, 2011, the search operations intensify around, Fox Lake being the kind of the last known sighting. Over the week following August 8th, search operations intensified. The county sheriff's office deployed horses, a helicopter, volunteer hikers across the wilderness area. The search was shaped initially by the assumed route, so Chepeta Lake to Mirror Lake via the Highline Trail, with Fox Lake as a last known point. Eric's wife described to the media that he had explored nearly every hiking trail in Australia and overseas and was well equipped, reinforcing the idea that he was experienced and prepared. And around this period, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but a hiker who had met Eric near Fox Lake contacted the sheriff's office, and officials began using Fox Lake as the obvious known last sighting. August 13th, 2011, as the search entered its seventh day, the county sheriff's officials received critical new piece of information, and LDS Bishop from West Jordan contacted them on Saturday, August 13th, to report that he had encountered Eric Robinson on August 2nd in the Yellowstone Creek drainage while leading a group of Boy Scouts. Eric had been approximately 3.5 miles south of the Highline Trail at that time. The bishop described Eric as in good health and good spirits. So now we have another sighting later on near the Yellowstone Creek drainage area.
Here's a picture of him at Chipeta Trailhead.
Okay. So yeah, very fit individual.
Yeah.
He looks very well prepared, has a massive backpack like we carry.
Oh, yeah. He's got all the stuff he needs.
Yes, he's ready to go. So now this new sighting moved the last known position forward from Fox Lake on July 30th to Yellowstone Creek on August 2nd. And this provided a lot of new hope that, they might find him. And it also, focused the search more. August 13th to 14th of 2011, following the bishop's report, searchers obviously adjusted their focus. They concentrated on an area between the Five Points Lake and Bluebell Pass trailheads. Teams on horseback headed into the area on Sunday. Hikers sent in Saturday they didn't report any fresh sightings of Eric. Chief Deputy Boren noted his concern that the emergency locator beacon still had not been set off. At the same time, he emphasized that they had not given up hope. So that is a concerning bit of news that if he's this overdue, why hasn't he set the beacon off yet? Mm-hmm. So Interesting. Mid-August 2011, so as the search continued beyond the seventh day, Australian news coverage started picking it up. So they noted that he was 6 days overdue. And, they talked about the horses, helicopters, and teams of voluntary hikers out there hiking, checking for him. Maryland repeated publicly that, his phone hadn't been used, his beacon hadn't been activated, and none of his gear had been located. It's late August 2011, and sadly, the search was suspended. I guess not late, August 17th of 2011. Roughly 10 days after the search began and the overdue report was filed, they made the difficult decision to suspend the active search. So several years go by, nothing is found, no news, and it's now August of 2016. And the family does a trip to Alsop Lake. So 5 years after his disappearance, a Colville area. So this is a family trip to the lake, not his family trip. Sorry. Okay. To clear that up. So a Colville area family, Mark Judd and his sons, including Kelvin and Kimball, planned a summer backpacking trip into the high Uintas. Alsop Lake, a relatively remote basin in the headwaters of the East Fork Bear River, was chosen as their destination. They camped on the east side of the lake in a basin that is scenic but does not sit directly on the main Highline Trail. And it also sees very light visitation compared to the better-known areas in the basins. It's August 18th of 2016, and that's a Thursday. Kelvin, his father Mark, and brother Kimball left camp to explore a steep wooded slope leading towards a saddle east of the lake. And this is a ridge that separates the Alsop Basin from the basin containing Dead Horse Lake on the other side. As they climbed, they angled up through the forest and then onto more open rocky ground above the tree line. They saw other hikers descending a talus slope on the north side of the saddle, but chose a different line, aiming for a couloir further south. While traversing the steep boulder field, so loose rock, broken talus, Kevin's father noticed something red below a large boulder. He pulled out a pair of binoculars and he said, and this is a quote, "That looks like a backpack." So as they worked down toward it, the family saw torn fabric flapping in the wind that looked like part of a tent. They found a trekking pole and they found other scattered gear, including clothing across the slope. Then Kimball spotted a hiking boot wedged among the rocks. And this was a quote from him. He said, "You could see the bottom of it from where we were standing, and you could see the vibram sole." He picked up the hiking boot, and sticking out of the hiking boot was a tibia and a fibula with hiking socks half torn over it. The men had realized they had found partial human remains on a steep mountainside far from any established campsite or trail. Continuing down to the backpack, they opened it and examined the contents. They found a sealed bear-resistant food canister with an Australian flag sticker on it. Among the food, they found at least one item, a granola bar with an expiration date of 2012, confirming the gear had been there for a while. And at the bottom of the backpack, they found a wallet, and inside the wallet was his driver's license bearing Eric Robinson. So, pretty clear and convincing evidence they've found his remains.
I'm going to give that a 99.9%.
Yeah. So, Kevin later recalled that these details, the Australian flag, expired food, ID card, led him to conclude they had stumbled on an answer to a missing hiker case that they hadn't personally followed. There was no cell phone service in the basin to call authorities, so they had to return to camp knowing they needed to report the find. August 19th of 2016, they alerted the authorities. The Judds approached another group of backpackers camped nearby, including photographer and backpacker Dan Ransom. After hearing their story, Ransom remembered details of the 2011 missing hiker search and suspected the remains might be of those of Eric Robinson. Ransom used his personal locator beacon to send a message to authorities giving the location and nature of the find. Because the site lay on the Summit County side of the forest, the Summit Dutchneys, I probably said that wrong, county line, approximately 500 yards inside Summit County. One later, really, the Summit County deputies and investigators coordinated the recovery. So a little inside baseball on the recovery. Probably details you didn't need.
Yep.
So guided by Kevin and Kimball, Summit County search and rescue personnel and deputies climbed the boulder field. They located the scattered bone fragments and partial remains. They identified the backpack and other belongings, including a tent, trekking poles, and personal items. The bones were collected and transported to the Utah State Medical Examiner's office for DNA analysis. Summit County Sheriff Sergeant Ron Bridge described the terrain. He said the remains and items were found about 150 yards down a steep slope characterized by a harsh boulder field, and the location lay near the Highline Trail on Alsop Lake side of the ridge, but not along the main traveled path. It's now August 23rd to 24 of 2016. And this is a Wednesday. Desert News reported that human remains had been found near Alsop Lake and were believed to be those of Eric Robinson, who had gone missing in 2011. They just kind of repeated what we had said, how the remains were discovered, who discovered them. Summit County deputies then searched and located his backpack, poncho, walking stick, and other personal items. And the cause of death had not been confirmed, but the remains and personal items being about 150 yards down a steep slope of harsh boulder terrain suggested a possible fall. And Fox 13 also, this is interesting, reported on August 24th that DNA testing had confirmed the remains were Eric's. However, medical examiner records later provided to KSL, so that's the local station out there, basically said they didn't need to do DNA analysis, that they pretty conclusively were Eric's remains. So very interesting. There's some discrepancy there. Late August 2016, family's reaction and public framing in a follow-up story. Eric's wife, Marilyn, expressed that the discovery had brought peace of mind and answered a question of where he was. They had gratitude towards the Judd family and law enforcement agencies for their care and persistence. Investigators and commentators emphasized that Eric had been fastidious about his packing, safety gear, food, beacon, and I would agree. Like, he was very prepared. The area where he died was extremely difficult to search.
We were not laughing at what Mike was saying. We
No.
have boxes covering a window so sun wouldn't be in his face. It just fell off the window.
Fell off the window. So yeah, apologize. I was not laughing at this case.
I just want to make that distinction.
Yeah, but I think I'm good.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this area where he passed was very extremely difficult to search, and it's not shocking that they didn't find his remains during the original search. Now, this post 2016, I don't normally give a direct shout out. We always include the sources in the show notes, but shout out to KSL Podcasts for the reporting on this case.
I've got it pulled up, and I was going to go into it soon.
Yeah,
for images.
Yeah, so they did an amazing job. They actually had a guy go out there and recreate his entire hike and take pictures.
It was Dave Cawley in 2023. So 3 years ago.
KSL Podcasts, they did a whole multi-episode on this case. I highly recommend going to listen to that.
And we're going to link it?
We'll link it. Okay. Yeah. So listen to their
when we post it, we can tag them too and just make sure they get all the credit.
Yeah.
We don't want to pull a crime junkie.
No. Yes. We did not. Joe and I did not hike this and investigate it ourselves.
We should say now, we didn't talk to him yet, right?
No.
Okay, so I'm sharing their website right now. We didn't talk to him about this, but KSL podcast. Go listen to their whole version of it.
Yeah, and they
Give him a shout
basically what they did was they got access to his camera because he had a camera that had 77 photos on it that were still good.
Yeah, and it survived all that time.
And they used his GPS data with those photos, and then they sent a guy out onto the trail to photograph the same areas where the photos were taken to kind of mark, to actually get the locations marked.
Yeah, I was reading this. It's called rephotography or repeat photography. The process of taking matching sets of images from the same location over a span of time. Positions in some of the images pairs presented here are precise to within a matter of centimeters. So I looked at some of them real quick, and they're like exact shots of what he took just in 2023.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'm going to go through the, we're going to take a quick pause.
Yeah, so you can put your wall back up.
I'm going to tape my box back up on the window. Yeah. We'll be right back. It just fully fell.
I need the different hold music for this. Let's see if I have something here.
Maybe the jazzy stuff.
Yeah, here we go. Let's go.
All right. We'll be right back.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break while Mike goes and fixes the window. I'm going to actually put it on Mike's camera here so we can see what's going on. For those watching the video, Mike is holding the box up to the window. He's got a roll of tape. He's trying to do this quickly because we don't want to be here very long. Oh, one of the pieces of tape is completely unusable, so he's making a new piece, getting at the top here. Oh, very nice. It's held up. Good job, Mike. Actually, you know what I could do? I can actually switch this here. There you go. I'm out of music now. Look at how sophisticated our setup is here.
We'll definitely cut this out of the audio version.
I think you should leave it in the audio version because it'll make people go to the YouTube version. We have one of our posters here blocking the top there. We have a poster of the Kyle Britton episode. And then Mike's just making sure this last little bit here doesn't fall down again. You only had like 2 pieces up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. No way. We got hockey sock tape making this happen. Now I got to make sure I get this back in the right spot.
All right.
I think you're good.
We're back.
We're back. Thank you. All right. There we go.
All right.
We are back. That was awesome.
So
as a first, it's been a long time since we've had a first here.
Yeah. We haven't recorded in the sunlight.
A behind the scenes shot too, mid episode. So I think you should leave the audio in the whole time. And then people, if they really want to know what's going on, you got to go to YouTube and smash that subscribe button.
Yes. All right. So like I said, the memory card contains 77 photographs taken during his final hike. And the GPS data exported from his Garmin unit showed his route as a series of track points without intact timestamps. But when aligned with the photos, like Joe said, and known trail features, they gave solid spatial clues about where he went next. The recovered photographs showed at least 3 sheep herders along his route, but none was known to have reported seeing him during the original search. And they said this doesn't necessarily imply wrongdoing or deliberate silence. They may have not recognized him, remembered the date, all that stuff. So like I said, rephotography and highline fieldwork was done by Dave Cawley, and he undertook an 8-day solo hike of the Highline Trail, carrying Eric's photo set and using it as a guide to rephotograph each location. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, so
work.
this is where you're going to want to go on YouTube. So here we have the trailhead.
Is this?
This is 1:03 p.m.
Yeah.
This is Eric's photo. Here is Dave's photo.
Yeah.
And then they have it listed as the 2023 match.
Yeah.
So I'll scroll down here. So this was day 2, July 29th, 2011. This was Eric Robinson's first night campsite near Chipeta Trailhead, photographed at 8:08 a.m. on the morning of his second day.
Okay.
And here's the 2023 match. So it's really cool. Look at, you can see. I wish, and maybe it said that. I wonder if it's the exact same time of year too. I didn't look. I'll look at that when we're done here. Here is the southern edge of Reeder Lakes at 8:55 a.m. The match. You can see like the trees are way more full. Look at how tiny that tree is in the 2023.
Yep.
Some wildflowers that he took. This is Eric's photo. They didn't replicate that one. Water crossing near Reeder Lakes at 9:33 a.m. And then they repeated it. Hey, look how much. It looks like it might be a different time of year. It seems more green in Eric's photos. I don't know. Quaint trail vicinity looking east to Reeder Basin, 10:33 a.m. Here's the match. Yeah, it looks like way less full. I don't know. Was there like a fire or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Taylor Lake, 11:47 a.m. There's the match. This one I doubt they have a match on. Yeah, they don't have a match in that one. Nearing top North Pole, 12:37. Wow, this is really cool.
Yeah. And you can find all this. Go to ksl.com. You can get.
Yeah, he even set up his poles. Like he set up his bag and his poles. He's like really trying to make it exact. Yeah. That's really awesome.
Yeah, so huge shout out to this.
Yeah, KSL podcast.
KSL podcast.
You guys killed it. This is what we want to do. You're killing it. Good job.
Yeah, so real quick, I'll go through the updated timeline while Joe is kind of going through these. So day 1, July 28th, after traveling Park City to Vernal, and then by vehicle to Chepta Lake, Eric begins his solo highline hike at approximately 1 p.m. and camps less than 2 miles from the trailhead. Day 2, July 29th, he crosses North Pole Pass, camps at Fox Lake. Day 3, July 30th, he has his Fox Lake encounter with another hiker. Eric photographed by them. Later that day, he moved west and camped near Gilbert Creek.
Here's that photograph that the guy took of him.
Yeah. Day 4, July 31st, it was a short day, camped at eastern edge of a Painter Basin, heavy clouds. Day 5, August 1st, he crossed Anderson Pass, faced steep, high-angle snow on the west side of the pass over cliffs. Lacking the technical gear, he bailed below. Day 6, August 2nd, he encounters sheep herders and later a Boy Scout group led by Russ Alston. Appears healthy and in good spirits, but shows scrapes from the difficult terrain. Receives direction through Garfield Basin and photographs 5 Point Lake that evening, confirming he followed the recommended route. And this later was revised to about 5 miles south of the Highline. Originally, it was 3.5 miles. Day 7, August 3rd, he crossed Garfield Basin, Porcupine Pass.
So look at how much snow is on Anderson Pass for Eric's photo versus this one. So it was way snowier.
Yeah, so he crossed Garfield Basin, Porcupine Pass, and into Upper Lake Fork Drainage Camp. He camped in or near Lambert Meadow. Day 8, August 4th, Eric crossed Red Knob Pass at approximately 12:15 p.m. A photograph taken shortly afterward showed Dead Horse Pass appearing substantially snow-covered. His final photographs were taken near the outlet of Dead Horse Lake at approximately 2:24 and 2:26 p.m. So I don't know if you can find those.
I'm getting on there. Sheep herder. Oh, so this is a picture Eric took of a sheep herder. Let me scroll on. He got a lot of good photos.
Yeah.
This dude from KSL had his work cut out for him.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So they said that the sheep herders were not like a...
No, they just didn't remember seeing him. Like, it wasn't anything suspicious.
Here, due to the imminent threat of lightning, 532.5 was not replicated in the field in 2023. Okay, so he was up here, but there's lightning, so he didn't take pictures.
Yeah.
He just got out of there. Smart.
Yep.
Scrolling down. I'm skipping a lot of these. Just days.
Yeah.
Day 8 was this last day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Robinson's final day. I mean, we rarely get this much of a look into directly
like
what he was experiencing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see the final picture. Let's just go to that one.
Yeah, the final picture was the
outlet. Oh, yeah, you can
of
see
Dead
the
Horse
2023
Lake.
match. He's got storms coming in 2023.
Yeah. So we're just scrolling through all the photos. Okay, so there's a map.
Oh, that was his GPS. So this is the last photo from Eric Robinson's camera.
Okay. So yeah, this is the outlet of Dead Horse Lake at approximately 2:24 and 2:26 p.m.
Okay.
So yeah, this is we never get this level of detail, like directly what he saw, like on the final day, and then this is a cool little map of the different pings from his GPS device, so you can kind of see how he's progressing through, and they did a really great job. So like I said, something happened to him on day 8. That was August 4th. He failed to meet his friend Julia on August 7th. The formal search started on August 8th. And then his remains weren't found until 2016.
So on their website, an unofficial trail zigzags up the eastern of Dead Horse Lake side of the saddle. Eric's GPS data revealed he moved in the direction of that trail and likely used it to ascend the top of the saddle. From there, he would have had a picturesque view of Alsop Lake. Eric did not take any photographs from the top of the saddle, meaning he's likely moving with a degree of urgency to descend the far side.
Yeah.
The unofficial trail ended at the top of the saddle when the Summit County Sheriff's Office recovered Eric's remains from the base of Alsop Lake side of the saddle.
Yeah. So there were some interesting, there was a rope that was found.
Yeah, badly weathered rope attached to the cliff directly above where Eric came to rest.
Yeah. So in the course of recovering Eric's remains and gear, the investigators also photographed and collected a rope webbing and carabiner that was fixed to a rock on the upper cliff band above the boulder field. Later disclosures stated that the rope was not part of Eric's equipment. His wife confirmed he did not use rope and did not climb. The rope was poorly anchored and did not match modern climber standards, and a serial number on the carabiner indicated it had been manufactured in 2009, suggesting the rope was set up. The rope setup was placed by someone else in 2009 to 2011. And images released show the rope hanging in a way that might appear to be distressed or improvising hiker, like a potential aid for descending the cliff, but there's no direct evidence that Eric actually used it. The investigative series that we're looking through also treats this rope as an unexplained artifact at the accident site that may or may not have played a role. So we don't know.
Maybe he came upon it and was like, oh, I'll use this, and it was badly weathered and broke.
So get into theories real quick, because I kind of think we know what happened in this one. So the main theory is Anderson Pass bailout theory. So Eric's forced off-trail descent below Anderson Pass on August 1st showed he recognized he was neither equipped nor inclined to tackle the snow. After that, he might have chosen, at least briefly, to abandon his original Highline plan by dropping into Yellowstone Creek and aiming for a southern exit. The scout encounter on August 2nd, however, orientated him back towards the Highline, and probably something happened where he fell and went down that boulder field based on the remains, how they were found. So all the other theories are more or less a fall.
I honestly, like, I feel like we're not guessing anymore.
Not
with all the information we have. I mean, that just seems like what happened.
Yeah.
Based on the reports of what the snow was like in that area, and how he would have had to go around it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, and how he didn't use his beacon.
Yeah.
Which, if he fell and hurt himself, he would have got the beacon.
Or if you're like really lost, and he's experienced enough, okay, you're lost. He might try to navigate out, but at some point, you just like, I have this beacon. I'm just gonna use it.
Yeah, it was probably just like a misplaced footing, a slip, and he
could have been. It could have been late in the day, or he's getting dark out, and he's trying to rush off.
Well, and before I knew that's what happened, we were looking at the map, literally at that saddle, and we're like, "Oh, look there's this hidden cliff, like right here."
Yeah,
like we literally said, "Oh, if you fell off of that, it would be done." But from the top, it looked like you could make it down. So I wonder if he was kind of going to peak.
And maybe,
if he was being careful, and knowing maybe there could be a cliff and you're approaching slowly, but then slip on snow, and then what were they saying in all the reports? If you slip, you will slide down.
Yeah.
So he could have just uncontrolled descent and down the side and then off the cliff.
Like you said, sometimes things are hidden. He might have just been tired and like, I'm going to go try to get down here, and didn't realize there was such a steep drop and just took one wrong step.
Yeah.
And it could have been dark out.
Yep.
There could have been weather in the area that was pushing through. Like there's a whole ton of variables that could have caused it. But I think we pretty much, it's, officially they're not saying it, but it was a fall.
I feel like besides the solved cases we covered, this is the one that I would almost give the most, the best guess is the most realistic.
What we don't know is what caused the fall.
Yeah. that's the speculation, but I would say
it's not like something like he was hypothermic and he was confused. Like he was prepared. It could have been
just a freak accident.
A slip. We've all done it. You're tired and you your guard is down a little because you're just exhausted and just miscalculated something. And your pack's heavy.
Yeah.
If your pack
if you're wearing that,
gets going first, it's going to take you right over the cliff. Like I've had it almost happen too, where like you don't catch your like
you stumble and then the weight pulls.
Part of the reason I like having hiking poles with is they've helped catch myself. Because if you're just hiking with and your pack starts going, it'll take
especially with us carrying like
50 pounds.
Yeah, just some garbage, just garbage that we don't need.
I almost took a dive off in Hawaii on the 7 mile marker.
Yeah,
the 7 mile hike because it was 700 feet to steep, like rocky ocean, and I missed my step and my whole right leg was dangling, and I caught myself with my hiking pole.
Yep, there you go.
And
don't do that.
I was like, someone just shot me full of like
adrenaline.
Adrenaline. I was like, ah! And then like I was like ready to hike and get off there. Like,
yeah, that will wake you up. So, do you want to know the closest thing to a formula that
sure,
came up with, pulling from some of the Rutherford County SAR manuals?
Yes.
So, a useful way to describe it is search urgency equals vulnerability plus environmental danger plus evidence of trouble plus significance of the delay minus ability to survive independently.
Okay. So kind of like what we were saying.
It's very like
it's a formula.
We threw it. Yeah. I mean, there's formulas to everything. Yeah. So some agencies actually use numerical search urgency charts.
Yeah.
One current county SAR operating guide scores 9 categories. 1, number of missing people. 2, age. 3, medical condition. 4, physical condition. 5, clothing. 6, equipment. 7, outdoor experience and familiarity with the area. 8, weather. 9, terrain and known hazards.
Okay.
So in that particular system, scores range from 9 to 33, with the lowest score representing the greatest urgency. It also says that a critical score is even one category such as dangerous weather, serious medical vulnerability, inadequate equipment, or hazardous terrain may justify an immediate response. That scoring system is not a nationwide NPS standard, but illustrates how SAR commanders think. So
basically what Joe's saying is there is a formula they use, but it's kind of...
It depends.
It's a formula that they can tweak, and it's not one size fits all.
Yeah, and they said, does planned distance matter? Yes, but not as simple as miles to hours calculation. So elevation gain, trail versus off-trail, river crossing, snow, heat, mud, ice, technical climbing or scrambling, pack weight, daylight. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Experience can cut both ways. In that one, I'm just paraphrasing here, but a practical comparison. So this is good. Lower initial urgency. A healthy, experienced 35-year-old is 2 hours late from a multi-day trip, knows the area, has a tent, warm clothing, food, navigation equipment, and stable weather. Immediate high urgency. A 70-year-old with diabetes is 45 minutes late from a 2-hour day hike, is alone, has no overnight equipment, darkness is approaching, and severe weather is in the forecast. So they have a basis, honestly, kind of how we do our show.
Yeah.
Is like how they calculate in the field. Like, hey, what are all the conditions? Who are we dealing with? Let's paint a picture of what's going on, and that will determine how quick we respond.
Yeah, because you think about from their perspective, it's a big effort to mobilize a search like this.
Yeah.
You're talking hundreds of people.
It costs a lot of money.
And lots of money.
People don't like thinking like that.
Aircraft.
Yeah, people don't like thinking like that, but quite literally, you're not going to send out the brigade for a healthy person who's on a day hike on a well-maintained trail that's an hour late. You're just not gonna. You might have like a MPS person go walk the trail. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because the resources are finite, and if you do this every day, if you did it every day, you'll run out of resources to conduct search and rescues by like June.
Yes.
So. No, that's interesting. Kind of getting at what we were talking about. There's so many variables you have to put into deciding when is the right time. And you can tell in this case, like he was reported missing that evening, and they essentially started planning the search that night and kicked it off the next day. So pretty urgent.
Yeah.
I think probably a lot of that had to do with, his age, he's older, and the terrain he was in.
Yeah, and now you're a day overdue.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
All right.
Cool.
I'm glad that they got closure.
Yeah,
I always like when it's closed, but
you won't like the next case then.
Oh, dang it. Okay. Well, thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate all of you for listening and sharing locations unknown with your friends and family. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can find the videos of each episode. And you're going to want to see this one because it shows Mike fixing the window. Also, if you'd like to support the show monetarily, please visit our website or Facebook store to buy some cool swag. Additionally, you can subscribe to our Patreon account on YouTube and on Apple, where you'll have access to special events and additional shows for paid customers only. Lastly, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.